Have you ever wandered barefoot through the Sahara Desert looking for lemon slices?
Not sober.
Have you ever looked directly into a cat to find the meaning of life?
Which end?
Yes.
Yes.
Do
Also
you
no.
believe in a thing called love?
Ooh.
No.
Just listen to the rhythm of my heart. Whether you answered yes or no to all those questions, you should be subscribing to the Madness Table. It's the hottest new podcast that you can find around on the internet and wherever podcasts do be. Yes. And in addition to that, social media exists, and you could be subscribing to and liking and following and sharing. Imagine a world populated entirely with memes referencing the popular game Dungeons and Dragons. Well, boy howdy, you could come to a website and look at them all dilly day. And I would recommend doing that on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. If you're like, boy howdy, I have too much monetary wealth, I would suggest going to our coffee page and spending it on me. If you do it, we will get Brenton a haircut. Otherwise, he will remain in this sullied form for as long as his wife allows.
Hey, this mange
This mange?
gets all the ladies.
Or perhaps we will spend the Ko-Fi donations on a proper background for one Andrew Walker, who you can probably see is in a tent right now in the wilderness.
Just because my green screen is sloppy, furled, wrinkly, does not mean I'm in fact in the deep woods of Wisconsin. Or does it? Anyway, you know what you should definitely do is review this podcast, send it to your friends, send it to your cousin, find a man on the street named Jerry, because all Jerrys love this podcast, and get him on the pod. I don't think there's any more I can say that would, elevate things as much as I already have done, and thus I, as ever is my privilege, will forward this message unto Sir William of House Johnston.
Oh my god.
Thank you for an outstanding intro once again. Well, for everybody that is still with us, welcome back. And as to what happened last time, you have returned to the Kingdom of Ember. You have met with Sekarak, the king and queen, the member Dr. Seuss of the Society of Brilliance and his manservant Ricard. You have met with, very briefly, Sue and with Beatrice, and that was a mixed reunion. Scylla, you stand on the bridge. You and Sue have hugged, and she's demanded you tell her all about the journeys. She's looking far more vibrant and healthy than when you left her. Beatrice has just stormed off with a small child in tow whose colorings of black and white are very reminiscent of Starcaller. And I imagine in this moment that perhaps you've all decided to kind of go your ways. There was a silent kind of nod. It was a really good moment right before you guys noticed Beatrice. Actually, I think it was afterwards, of King Boletaire and Sefel agreeing that that child would not want for anything. And where we had left off was Sefel was going to return to Sekarak's tower, and with Stool and some of the other Myconids, and Scylla would remain in Coalfire Keep. Dr. Seuss was going to move back to the Serpent's Maw, and you guys were going to kind of convene for the night and then begin what I imagine would be perhaps a couple of days of simply organizing how these new plans were to begin. Unless there's anything else you guys want to do in your first night back within the city of Dimcairn.
I
think I think we ticked all the boxes for night 1 anyway. I do think that maybe setting the scene for part of their research. Upon returning to Sekarak's tower, Sifel would start to share with him some of the spells that he had been working on thus far. Sort of meeting of the arcane academic minds to, like, I don't know, get some notes, get some feedback, get an extra set of eyes, and really refine those to a finish point.
Okay. Scylla, I imagine, unless you and Sue decide to go elsewhere, that your room has been prepared within Coalfire Keep. Do you and Sue just kind of like run back to it and are like, bottle service, room service, we're chatting up the night, or are you guys going out on the town to kind of convene and chat? Like, describe to me what that kind of looked like.
Yeah, I think them getting back together, they don't go out. It is hanging out in Scylla's room at Coalfire Keep, getting as much food and drink as they can from the keep, and just kind of like privately catching up. Because to do so in public would perhaps like limit their ability to like really connect, and they would rather kind of share that moment together there. And I think Scylla, yeah, I guess that would be it.
Okay.
They kind of do that, yeah.
Sure. Do you think, because you guys had such a strong bond before you got here, and now it's been almost 2 months and so much has occurred, do you think that Sue would stay with you in Coalfire Keep, or do you think, or like, would Scylla allow her to leave? Because I know you were Scylla almost seemed almost possessive of her friend, of like,
oh, for sure,
I'm protecting you, you're with me. So I'm just curious, like, how that goes.
Yeah, this would be very much like offering Sue to sleep in Scylla's bed, and if Sue was like, no, I have to go back, Scylla would automatically just be like, then I will join you, and Scylla would just like go with her.
Okay.
As this, I think Scylla in this moment is kind of like, we're back together.
Yeah, everything's back to normal.
Yeah, everything's back to normal. We're like friends, you know, hanging out, doing adventures again, clearly.
Okay. I think with that, Sue agrees to stay in the keep, and I think Scylla is, and probably in the conversations too, Sue tells you that she has been staying with Beatrice and kind of honing her alchemical craft and focusing on that side and creating salves that have been healing her scars and working on her body and her hair coming back. And her and Beatrice had kind of become these, like, almost like meisters, for lack of a better word, for the city, really trying to help forward the movement of kind of more scientific and magical approach to healing and helping people. And I think she tells you that that the Scale Guard have been, under Sir Laertes, been conducting more and more rotations and scoutings out into the Underdark, and things have been getting far more dangerous, and quite a few of the clerics of the Temple of Bahamut and the Platinum Talon have lost their lives, or are kind of been restricted to the Dusk Fort, where they tend to all the wounded that come back. And so what they've been doing is kind of tending to more of the Commonwealth and trying to make healing potions as much as possible. And Sue has continued to kind of like tinker, and she's still creating explosives, surprisingly, and like all these different things. But I think what it comes down to is, she goes, I think it's perhaps a bit too soon to be returning, especially if you want to come with me, Scylla, just due to Beatrice's pain right now. I'm sure you can understand that.
I did not have well, I think she was about to say that she didn't have a hand in his death. And right when she was about to say it, she realized that she didn't truly believe that.
And do you think this is the first time you've brought it up in all the conversations? You guys have probably been talking long into the night now.
Yeah. It's probably like really late, and she's probably this is probably the moment where they finally talk about the elephant in the room, which is Beatrice and Starcaller. I understand that her emotions are volatile. It is not something that I feel you do not believe she would want to see me then, because of my association with her departed lover.
I think it's just perhaps a bit too soon. Her feelings are quite raw, and I think she's a bit preoccupied taking care of Kiara, and that is more than enough in its own right, enough work. I've helped here and there, but ever since she's arrived, I've been spending so much of my time kind of tending to both of our duties to the city. And I think she just perhaps needs a little bit of time alone.
I see.
Though I don't think she should be left alone for too long. But perhaps we go about it in doses, eh?
You would like to dose her?
No, not literally. I mean her encountering you and Sefel, perhaps. Just...
yes.
Yes.
A schedule.
Sure, something like that. I've missed this. I truly have.
I've missed you as well. I was quite surprised to see the young Leonin. Kiara, you called them.
Yes, that is their name. And they're not a Leonin, but they certainly display quite a few features reminiscent of Starcaller. They seem to be outpacing the size of all other kobold children. And they've got a fantastical mane of thorny scales that makes it quite apparent who their sire was. And they're smart and fierce already. She was born not too long, perhaps a couple of weeks after you left, I think now. So we'd really only gotten into our routine before she arrived. It's been a journey ever since.
Beatrice hopefully finds comfort in that she still has a piece of Artemis in Kiara. I would hope.
I hope so too, and in time I think she will.
I certainly will adhere to any schedule of providing comfort. However, I will say I am not sure what all whenever I think of what I would say, I am learning that it probably would be the opposite of comfort. And so perhaps what you should instead do is introduce Beatrice to someone who knew Artemis better than anyone. And Scylla will get up and walk to her bag and pull out Dawn's Edge.
Oh. And I think Sue recognizes the haft, but she's kind of confused because I don't think she ever heard Dawn's Edge talk. And she's like, a weapon? Huh?
Yes, I understand your confusion. Most blades do not speak. This one will speak telepathically, although she has been quiet as of late. her and Starcaller had a connection in and outside of battle, was my understanding. And Dawn was in heavy grief at his passing. Perhaps she will speak with Beatrice.
I kind of picture Sue, like you placing Dawn's edge in Sue's open palms, and she kind of holds her delicately, and she goes, another one in mourning. I understand,
Yes.
and perhaps you're right. Perhaps the two may speak about him more. And
I should say... Oh, sorry.
No, well, she just kind of like... She almost like is looking at the haft of Dawn's edge, and she goes, I'm very sorry for your friend. I know that probably brings you no comfort in this time, but I hope you will continue to serve, or perhaps help those that he called friend too. And she kind of hands Dawn's edge back to you.
Yeah, I think Scylla will place Dawn's edge nearby, but not sheath or anything. Or, sorry, axe, so never mind.
Lean her against the bedside table or something.
Yeah, something of power, I suppose. Yes, so perhaps I will bring Dawn to Beatrice in time, but yes, I enjoy all of the work that you have been put into the city, and I should like to get involved.
Of course. I mean, I assume that with your meeting with the king and everything you've reported, it sounds like you have great plans, and I can't wait to see them come to fruition. I'm happy to be of service in any way I can, too.
I've been thinking about your bombs. And there's probably like a... like they probably launch into like this discussion, it like fades to black of them like talking about explosions and like...
Sure, yeah.
How to get all that together.
Okay. Mr. Umbanut, you return back to the Serpent's Maw. Is it... I'm curious, you've probably been here for maybe a couple of short days. I'm really curious because we hardly know anything about him. What's his kind of like nightly routine, if he has one? Or what does he do before he heads in for the night?
Absolutely. I think he will kind of like not quite belly up to the bar, but he'll spend a little bit of time in the tavern section. Not really drinking himself, but just like buying a few drinks for folks and getting a little bit of a feel for what life is like here, and also, you know, trying to get some information on where the different folks here are from in the Underdark, how those interests align or perhaps misalign. But he certainly always ends his night with Mr. Bronte back up in his room with a cup of tea, and kind of like talking over the day with his companion.
Okay. Roll me either a... Actually, you know what? Do you think that Cicero goes through this kind of gathering of information rather jovially, or does he kind of like keep a careful eye out and observation, very much more like reading the room and listening to people's conversations?
Yeah, I think his point here is to play a bit of like the jovial old uncle, like, you know, just like trying, you know, slapping backs and, you know, like eliciting a little bit of goodwill.
Okay. And you said you were buying some drinks, so go ahead and make me a straight up charisma check and add your proficiency bonus as well to this check.
Alrighty. Susura's first roll is a natural 20.
Nice. Okay. All right.
So that's total 25. And for shits and gigs, I'll use an unyielding mind charge and bump that to a 30.
Yo.
So the temperature of the city is that it's mixed at best. Everybody's fine with, some gray dwarves coming in, the goblins, like everything societally is coming up. However, there is far more tension as more and more people are kind of being called to arms. And you overhear that Sir Laertes is, while not forcibly, is often kind of like it's almost like there's propaganda and town criers popping up now and again of like, join the Scale Guard, like protect the city, there's no greater glory kind of a thing. And this is a very, like, the temperature you get from everybody is like, this is young. A lot of people came here as a means of escaping what is happening out in the Underdark from everywhere else. While a good amount of people, especially amongst like the younger generations, are like, you know what? This could be really good here. This is the first time I haven't had to fear for my life. I've got family here, or I lost my family and I've begun to make friends. I don't want to lose that. And so there's a lot of, debate amongst people as to, yeah, I'm going to join up. Screw it. Let's take it back. Let's make this better. The other thing that would stand out to you, especially with the 30 overall in your like couple of days of schmoozing with people and getting the layout here, is that this is probably one of the few cities that, except for a few exceptional people, magic in the arcane or sorcerous fashions is almost non-existent. And that's interesting to you, why that would be the particular case. Those that have come from outside within the city have been trying to like share their knowledge, and some people are kind of getting it up. Those of the Temple and the Platinum Talon are very much revered because they are because of what they can do and how they seem to be touched by Bahamut. They're almost seen as like demigods within the city. But it's curious to you, I think, especially because of all your years and your studyings, especially observing kobolds and stuff like that, is that Urds, the winged kobolds that often show latent draconic energies and capabilities and have access to magic, there's almost none within this city. So it's curious to you why that is. And some people are very concerned because, some people have witnessed these demons have the ability to mess with their minds or cast spells. And these people are like, well, what the fuck is a sword going to do against a fireball? So that's kind of what you're catching, is you think perhaps these people need better signs of motivation that they can do this, that this is something that's winnable. And it really sits 50-50 right now as to where things could sway.
Excellent, Mr. Bronte. I think I have what I need for tonight. Let us turn in and turn our energies to the morrow.
Of course, sir. The usual cup of tea.
Yes, my good man. Yes.
And we see Ricard goes over and he pulls out from like a leather old like doctor's bag that kind of keeps itself propped open. He pulls out this very fine tea set and he brews up some stuff for you and sets it down with you. And he kind of points at his own chair and he goes, "May I, sir?"
But of course, Mr. Bronte.
He sits down, crosses his legs, very daintily picks up his teacup, sips. So, what do you read of the city, sir?
There's great potential here. The energy is palpable. The melding of the cultures of the Underdark here and the shelter they have received. This could be a very important piece of our design. However, we must tread carefully to give them right provocation, I should say, in order to motivate them towards the right end. We must be vigilant, Mr. Bronte.
Of course, sir. Would you require of me to do any due diligence myself, sir? Takes another sip of his tea.
A fine idea, Mr. Bronte. Yes, please. While I'm with either my books or scholarly discussions, if you would not mind taking a look about with your own keen eye.
Of course, sir. And I think you both finish your tea. He is like... I imagine he is so thorough in his work. Like, when you guys came in, your bed was kind of done up in hotel fashion. And, like, as you turn to get ready for the night, it's, like, already drawn back. Your pillows are fluffed in just a way. And he goes, "If you should need anything, sir." And he puts a little bell on your bedside table and then retreats to a separate adjoining room. And Sifel, how long? I mean, you don't need the same kind of rest as everybody else. I think Sekarak would be the one to kind of call uncle, so to speak, in terms of letting him rest, especially with his wound and he's still healing.
Sure. No, and I think Sifel is sympathetic to that as well. Like, he's certainly not inconsiderate of the situation, but he cannot hide his excitement for the first time being able to sort of brainstorm, in his memory anyway, the first time he's been able to brainstorm with another mage.
And I think you get that same excitement from Sekarak, but he definitely is like, "I must rest this evening, my dear friends. But tomorrow, bright and early, we'll get right to it. If you feel the need, though, to burn the night hours, please feel free to look into the collection. Some of these books you brought me many a year ago."
I thank you. I will do some work. I have an itch to finish one of these at least. Do you have any metal plateware or similar dishes? Really, any small metal object will do.
Yes. No. And he like turns to look up the stairs and he doesn't move for a moment, but then a myconid comes down holding some like metal flatware and like old beaker tripods and stuff like that, and he goes, will this do?
That will work perfectly. Not that I expect anything, but just to temper expectations. Are these important to you?
No, I made sure they grabbed the ones that were to be melted down and perhaps remade, so have fun with them. Just careful. The collection's already been a bit damaged from the
I won't
last...
break anything, don't worry.
Thank you. The flatware, do whatever you'd like. The rest, oh so careful, please.
Of course. Respect the environment, not the tools.
in this particular instance. And he nods and kind of winks at you, and he goes, I'm going to retreat for a while. I will see you in the morning.
Rest well, my friend.
And he, instead of going to his like large pile of cushions on the bottom floor, he actually goes up the stairs and eventually disappears from sight. And it sounds like you're going to work on your spells for a bit, kind of experimenting with some things.
Yes. Yeah, I have 2 in particular that I am right on the cusp of finishing. Okay. So I think I'm gonna just burn that candle out. Finish them up.
Okay. And so eventually you all settle in for the night, and the new morning arises, and I'm not going to get too granular here unless you guys want to get into it. What is the party's first order of business here?
I think they have a daily check-in in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's our scrum meeting, our daily stand-up.
Okay.
Stop using corporate jargon, Sam. But during our morning circle time, we'll check in about how we're feeling and what we're thinking.
We all hold hands.
Yeah, we sit on the rug that has the letters of the alphabet. Everybody sit on the letter, starts with your first name. We all sit on S. No, I think perhaps we all meet up at the keep on a daily basis, and that's kind of how the day starts, maybe.
Sure.
Okay. So let's talk a little shop here. So we've got a research committee that wants to get formed. We have a map that wants to get made of the Underdark. We have last on the list is diplomatic relationships. We want to map out demonic threats and activity, form a strike team, a spy network. What are some of the, like, what do you guys want to tackle first? And it doesn't have to be as a group. It can be individually. Like, Scylla, what's number one priority? What's the first thing you're getting established within the city out of the long list of things you guys decided to do? And I can go into more detail of what I wrote down here from our last session too.
I will say in our recordings, we have not mentioned anything diplomatic between the other communities.
Oh, okay. I thought there was.
No, we did mention at the end of last one that we were going to try to like get in contact with.
Did we? I thought we said that after the recording. Maybe I missed it.
I think we said it at like the ass end.
Yeah, I think Susuro said something about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Susuro did. You're right. Susuro said.
Oh, the new guy.
Yeah, we didn't pay attention. That's
sounds like I don't take notes on.
Oh, you were speaking. Wasn't in rhyme. Not interested.
It's like he hasn't. He hasn't paid his tithe to the party yet. He doesn't get to say things.
No. You're absolutely right. Okay.
Whenever you say billionaires.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, we're keeping our money.
We are multi-millionaires. We're still part of the people.
Okay. Yeah. We're one of you.
You're about to do some investing and hopefully see some of that back.
That's right. All right. So for Scylla, she wants to see Weth, and she wants to get focused in on training the active military forces that are here. She wants to get involved in that aspect of things because she knows that that's where her strength lies, and she knows it might take time. And certainly she would like to see Weth.
Okay. All right. Susuro, what are you doing? What's your first established position you want to make here?
First order of business for the Seussmeister is going to be the map. Pulling together his cartography skills and especially these diaspora communities that are coming together here. They're probably bringing a lot of discrete knowledge, and it's not going to be per se like a highway map. You know, there's just so many tunnels. But if we can get some general where things are and start adding, like Sam said last time, like heat map of like where the incursion spots are, we can start to make some assertions about what the most urgent matters might be.
Okay. Sefel, first order of your business.
I think there's going to be a little bit of overlap with Sefel and Susuro in this establishment of a heat map. Potentially there's a time that they spend selecting carefully the people that can best measure that and who are best suited for it. The type of information we want to get back.
Would it be crazy to say that the three of us are all invested in this map to start out with? And then
I think that's
where we're focusing the majority of our efforts, or
sure. I think this is like the only reason I was suggesting Susuro and Sefel interface on it is because this is very much where research and diplomacy sort of start.
Yeah, fair.
They intersect a little bit, but I think it's important for all of us.
Yeah, and I think where Scylla probably comes in is she's training people to be able to go out.
Sure.
So I suppose that is the connection.
Yeah. No, any researchers and explorers would need some sort of protection detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you are also a lifetime Underdark resident, and
That's
the
right.
only representative of the Deep Lake.
Cool.
Count on me.
Okay.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach. Got it. I think as you guys are kind of discussing this, I imagine the king or queen are there primarily as a means of support and throwing in what they can. I think the king is definitely to you, Scylla, is of course we can absolutely begin training, additional training. I think it would do our city well. I know Sir Laertes has been most ardent on keeping threats away from the city, and I think he's done just enough of a good enough job that perhaps we can buy ourselves some time to consolidate our efforts into more training. Perhaps we can set up a number of exercises in the curriculum with your guidance, and perhaps with your intellectual knowledges, the two of you, we can pull together what we know of certain demons and try to replicate certain instances with them and use that to our best benefit. I will send a runner to the gatekeep and see if we've heard any word from Sir Laertes as to when his return is. I think it would be best to work in conjunction. Not that the remaining Scale Guard members or those of the militia wouldn't answer to you, Scylla, but it would certainly strengthen your authority with Laertes and Weth by your sides.
Understood.
So, for this map to begin happening, the fact that you guys want to help on this will make, all three of you want to be involved on this, is going to make this check, these consecutive checks to kind of make this happen better. And this isn't going to be it's all done in one day. This will represent perhaps a couple of weeks worth of effort. But the success of these rolls will determine if that gets done faster or not. I'm going to give Andrew, I'm going to give you advantage considering your 30 check that you made last night in talking with the people. If that's kind of your nightly routine, talking with these refugees and those of the city, I think you hear a lot of passing by. You've traveled the Underdark quite a bit. You're 300 years old, something like that?
I'm 350 years old, sir.
350 years old. Basically all of that's been in the Underdark, no doubt. So you've got quite a good handle on things. Sefel, I imagine between your ability to recall and all of your recent adventures and stuff like that, you can absolutely either aid or roll your own check. But I want to... Let's see here. Andrew, I'm going to give you the option to roll a history check at advantage or an investigation check at advantage to demonstrate kind of here's the broad scale of the Underdark, here's my findings, here's what I've heard from people kind of thing.
Great. I actually have expertise in history, so I'm going to roll that one.
Amazing.
Very nice.
Alright, first roll flat is a 17, and the other one's a 13, so 17 plus 11 is 28, and it's a new day, unyielding mind, 33.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
All right.
Wow.
Just gonna
I
write
made a
this down so I
monster.
can refer this back. Yeah, this is what Dr. Seuss does.
Mm-hmm.
He's all about books.
All about their books. Them maps.
Have you seen the one about the fishes or the
Oh,
Lorax?
yeah, and
This
the
is
V.
good shit, dog.
I'm so glad to have more intelligence in the party.
Let's have Sefel. I imagine between you and Sekarak, because I bet you would rope him into this. And the combination of spells you guys have to kind of maybe it's more in Sekarak's wheelhouse to kind of view the Underdark and to sense and perhaps pick up more on demonic activity. I want you to roll an Arcana check.
Okay. Is this just flat Arcana?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so that's not... I'm gonna burn a knowledge. That's 18 total. Not
18.
fantastic.
Let's see if with Sekarak they do any better. Sekarak got a natural 19. So you guys hit a good high mark here for that. So I imagine it's kind of like Susuro begins the fine detailing of the map, being like, here's where the different cities are. Here's kind of like the larger blobs of where things are. Here are the bigger regions, kind of a thing. Here are some of perhaps the main tunnels that quite a few people use or species use. Sam, I am... Run me through the skills you are proficient in.
All of them.
All the skills. You're a bard.
Just kidding.
I forgot that.
I am proficient in acrobatics, athletics, insight, and investigation. However, one of the battle maneuvers I took is commanding presence, which lets me add a superiority die to a charisma check.
Okay. All right. Interesting. You also have the ability now, the fighter ability, or it's the battle master one, where to like you can study a foe, right, and learn more about that.
Know your enemy, yeah.
Know your enemy.
Yes.
I'm gonna have you roll a straight up charisma check. Add your charisma and your proficiency bonus to it, please.
All right. You want me to burn the maneuver?
That's up to you. That's up to you.
Okay, so it's an 11 plus my proficiency for 14.
Okay.
Plus an 8 for 22.
Okay. All right. So you guys are off to an incredible start, and this map is beginning to very quickly come together. And I think Susuro and Scylla have immediate, like, deep conversations about, like, the Dark Lake and how it relates to different sections, the runoffs of it, and everything like that. And then Sefel and Sekarak are chipping in about demonic threats, what they can feel and see with, you know, like scrying and stuff like that. It's not perfect, but I think after a number of hours, a runner comes back into the room and kind of bows to everybody and goes, "My lord, Sir Laertes has arrived with the Scale Guard and a new friend in tow, I believe." And you all see Sir Laertes like in the background come marching in. You can hear, the metal plates of his plate armor, half plate armor, as he moves into the room. And there's a much taller figure compared to him, kind of big and burly, moving in behind. But Sir Laertes comes in. You can see that some of his armor has like claw rends in it. He's covered in dirt, but he seems genuinely bright, like happy for the moment. And this tall figure behind him is bare from the chest to kind of like high middle waist, where they have like this large belt and this these kind of like kilt of leather and pelt rags, and then these tall wrapped boots, and then covering his shoulders and his head is this like animal pelt hood and mantle as well. But they have this big broad nose, this wide kind of grin. They've got a little bit of like mutton chops going on, and this long dirty blonde hair that kind of comes out from underneath the hood. And they've got bright green eyes. They are about 5 foot 10 or so inches tall, which I think is about what Scylla is, so like comparable size. But Sir Laertes quickly bows and goes, "Greetings, my king. Scylla, Sefel, a pleasure to see you both. Where's Artemis? Where's my dear friend? Is he hiding somewhere? He's done this before." And he's just kind of looking around the room, and he's like, "Starcaller, come out. You owe me a drink, you scoundrel."
I think Scylla opens her mouth to say something, and then she looks at Sefel.
Sefel, like, meets her eyes like, "I told the last one. This one's on you, girl."
Scylla will stand. Sir Laertes, it is good to see you. It is unfortunate news that I have to provide to you today. Artemis Starcaller fell in battle. He did not get back up.
This is a joke, yes?
That's the most fucked up way to say it. Starcaller's fallen and he didn't get up.
Actually, he technically did get back up, and then he went back down. Sorry. I am afraid not.
She's not joking or saying it poorly. Starcaller is dead.
We had traveled to the surface and found ourselves up against a gargantuan beast, which had been too powerful for our forces, and in the ensuing battle, Artemis was quite brave, but ultimately lives were lost. He had 9. I'm sorry. Pretend I didn't say that. I'm so sorry.
He lost all 9 of them in just the one battle?
Well, the other 8 got taken out by the stomach acid of the River King.
Yeah, sorry.
Just continuously churning it up. Yeah.
He woke up 7 more times.
Yeah.
It was awful. We could hear the screams from inside.
Oh,
This
Jesus.
is so bad.
I think Sir Laertes is still kind of stunned, and he looks over at the king and goes, "My king, certainly it's not true." And King Boletaire kind of gets up and starts to approach Laertes, and Laertes kind of like takes a step back, actually, and he seems mad now, kind of like that shocked, sad anger when someone gets this news, and goes, No. What? And where is? I'm sorry.
I cannot provide you additional comfort. All I can say is I had not seen anyone braver.
agree with that testament. I just never thought it possible for a man with such vigor for life. Excuse me, sir. Before I go, I'm sorry I'm being very disrespectful in this moment. This is Mr. Nobin, or Noban. We met him while traversing in the tunnels beyond. He is a fine fighter and a healer. Apologies, Noban. I've been dropped with horrible news, and I feel I must excuse myself, though my duties. Sir, and he looks back to King Boletaire. He goes, I forget myself in my station. I do sincerely apologize. Casualties, 10. Wounded, 13. All others reporting back in the group of 100. We met with significant forces of various types. However, the most concerning, and the one leaving the rending of my armor, was an undead force. One comprised of all manner of creatures and ancient warriors, but one in particular, a tall, armored skeleton carrying a maul of sorts, set upon us a handful of days back, and it was a bit of a losing battle. We managed to lose them in the tunnels before making our retreat here. I find ourselves severely outmaneuvered by them, and our capabilities, especially with Mr. Noban coming into the battle so swiftly, it just wasn't enough, sir. So I would like to take a few days leave of rest, considering the news, and to manage my men and perhaps send out a small scouting party to keep an eye on this undead force. I believe it's not something that should get any closer to the city, and I hoped not to have led them back here, sir. And he kind of bows and props himself back up, kind of ramrod straight, slaps his feet together very militaristically, and the king pats Laertes on the shoulder and goes, well done, Laertes. I appreciate this news. And then walks forward, and he's looking up at this Noban character, and he holds out a hand, and you see this just massive, almost paw-like hand. And Noban seems very human, but he almost has animalistic features. And he kind of shakes the king's hand, but then gets down on one knee, and he goes, "It is a pleasure, sir, to meet you. I've come to pledge my service, my deity. Well, I could say the pressure was on to come in this direction. I think I have found the place I've been looking for." And the king kind of ushers him up and goes, "Well, we have just been convening on important matters of mapping the Underdark so that we can hopefully better repel this demonic incursions. I hope you haven't been met with too much trouble." And he kind of goes into more pleasantries, and Sir Laertes comes up to both you, Scylla, and Sefel, and kind of aside goes, "I do wish to hear everything that occurred, just so that I might quiet my mind for letting such a good friend go out there on his own and not being there to support him."
Of course, we will tell you the full tale when we can, and if you are so interested, there may be a chance for, I don't know if revenge is the right word, but justice in the near future.
And he gets this determined look on his face, and he goes, I would very much like that. And this kind of Noban comes over, and this large, meaty hand just clasps Laertes on the shoulder, and he's looking at the three of you, Susuro, Scylla, and Sefel, and he goes, I do apologize for my entrance in that there is ill news for Laertes here. But your friend that has fallen, how long ago did this occur?
Would be about a day. But
by the end of this day it will be 2. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 full day otherwise.
Like a day and a half, yeah.
But it's more complicated by the fact that we could not retrieve the body. We may be able to, if things go our way, but it will likely have been digested.
Poor Laertes is just like going through it right now.
Yeah.
You guys are not
Yeah.
good at this.
No, we don't have a bedside
No.
manner.
No.
Hang on. I think I gave Noban an item. I'm just trying to go through all of his shit right now. Oh no, that's not the one. Is it?
He has a
Hang on,
phoenix
this might be
down.
a pause here on there.
No, you're good.
I gave him. He's got his whole own thing going on. He is a cleric.
Did you make another subclass?
Yeah, it's basically a reskin of the piece, but he prays to the god of beasts, as he is a shifter.
Nice.
I didn't think it was this spell.
So,
I gave
so
him
he's a
spell
druid.
He's got druid vibes, but he's all cleric. Wow, I didn't think there was a lesser spell of this that I thought I gave him, not the 7th level.
You gave him fucking resurrection.
Yeah, but I think it was just supposed to be.
No. So, Phil, how does it feel to have someone who can cast like better spells than you?
Not better, just different.
I mean, higher level, which implies better.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but he might do it poorly.
Also, I learned to let go of the chaos and humbling aspects that Will weaves into his campaigns, as to not go insane.
Yeah, it's better for your mental
Yeah.
health.
Okay, no, I can't let him have that.
Yeah,
He's got this.
if I put myself against Will's NPCs, I'd just have crippling depression.
This guy is built in your favor. You said you wanted a cleric. I'm introducing a possibility.
Oh yeah.
No, his only actual spell otherwise is Revivify, which I thought for some reason was the spell that was like if you had 10 days, you can like if you have a part of their body or something. But I think that's just there's a druid spell that does that, and I don't think it's that.
Oh,
Reincarnate, maybe?
you're reincarnate.
Reincarnate that. Okay, yeah.
I'm Artemis Starcaller, and now I am a Goliath.
We went through that in one campaign, pretty much.
We did.
Yep.
We turned you into a what was it, a Luxodon?
I was an elven.
So, Noban, with his hand on the shoulder, he goes, "Well, very sorry that... No, it was deeper and gravelier than that. I'm very sorry for your friend. And I wish my capabilities and the powers blessed upon me by my god Aslan would allow me to help you and your friend. That's a fucking D&D canonical god. Look it up.
Everybody looking at Will like...
Like, did my boy just rip off C.S. Lewis?
Nope.
Like,
Nope.
This man come out of a wardrobe? Somebody go in the hall and check?
They're canonical. It came out in an article years ago for D&D that he is the god of beasts. But he
is a 3.5 deity.
Yes.
Nice.
But he just kind of expresses his sympathies to you all and is saddened that he couldn't be of immediate use and help to the kingdom. He goes, Sir Laertes had told me some stories of this Starcaller, seemed of a kindred spirit to myself in some manners. I had rather hoped to meet them. It's very unfortunate, Laertes. I'm truly sorry. And Laertes just kind of nods and then looks at the rest of him and goes, excuse me, I must get out of my armor and make myself more presentable. Excuse me. And he bows to you all, and Noban kind of turns to the rest of you and goes, I think I will join him and perhaps find myself some lodging, and perhaps I'll be seeing you again. And they both kind of leave. But King Boletaire kind of quickly comes over and he goes, Scylla, I will I'll speak with Laertes for a bit, and perhaps we can set up a time either later today or tomorrow to introduce you to what of our militia we have in the Scale Guard, and you can meet with Weth again, see what we've been doing here in the meantime, set up new challenges for the people.
That would be lovely. We will, and she looks to Savelle, bring a bottle of wine to Laertes and have a retelling of the events that transpired. And then she kind of leans down to Savelle. When I said that Starcaller had fell, it looked as though he had paused, and I didn't think that he understood what I'd meant, which is why I had said that he did not get back up.
No,
I recognized that perhaps that was the wrong thing to have said.
I understand. I understand the motivation.
Yes. I had to say yes.
I have no words. This is just an uncomfortable circumstance. I cannot make this better.
Okay.
Susuro just makes awkward eye contact with the king.
Yeah,
No.
and the king's actually coming back as you guys have been talking, and he actually looks at you, Susuro, and he goes, I do know that you had all talked of perhaps forming a group to perform reconnaissance. However, this matter of undead warriors and a force of some kind encountering the Scale Guard, it does bring to some concern, and while I'm certain it sounds like Laertes, once he has freshened and had some time to compose himself, Scylla, he will be more than happy to bring you to the Periculum and have the guard and everyone assembled for your meeting. But perhaps from amongst his finest recruits, the lot of you could take a few out into the field to teach them how to move in the Underdark as you would, and perhaps get an eye on these undead creatures. Does that
No training like field training.
I would have to
precisely my
agree.
thoughts?
We were sort of in the midst of an uncomfortable moment already, but throughout all of the mention and conversation of undead forces, does Sefeld get Orcus vibes?
I think that's... You would think, considering you know Orcus is here in the Underdark, it would definitely like send a shiver down your spine.
Yeah.
You know, of like, oh shit, is this him? But there's no way to know until you investigate it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, the king, in suggesting this, he even like offers to you all like, it doesn't have to be you. I just think perhaps if you want this job done right, the best of leading by example, so to speak. And Mr. Undernut, Dr. Seuss, I'm sorry, your title, I don't mean to. I know you've come here and you are quite an established scholar, but I know you are quite capable to make your way through the Underdark. Would you care to join them? Perhaps some of your own talents would be of use to them.
Quite so. I think it would be beneficial for me to stretch my legs after a bit of easy living here in your beautiful city, and I would very much like to see firsthand the warriors that you have so keenly spoken of these past few days.
I would like to see the skill set of a member of the Society of Brilliance in action.
Well, knowing is half the battle, after all, Mr. Stefel.
I will say, Dr. Seuss, Stefel has proven his age to not be a barrier in battle. Will you prove so as well?
You will find me as spry as a newly sprung Zerkwood. You will have no doubt.
Those are pretty rigid, aren't they?
There's no getting one past you, Sir Fel. Quite a clever creature. Although you do rely on the mystic arts, perhaps more than you need to. Taking a bit of a shortcut.
I do not... Sefal, do you... Sybil's confused.
Sefel is just looking with intense ire. If eyes could say, I will kill you in your sleep, that's what Sefel's dead eyes are conveying.
And I think your eyes are immediately
chuckling.
Dr. Seuss is chuckling, and you see just like Bronte slightly in the background staring like just dead cold eyes at you, Sefel, returning that kind of murderous gaze. And he steps forward and goes, my lord is quite admissible in battle, and he always has my help as well.
I see. I suppose anyone who had someone to assist them in battle would be more proficient. So this is lovely. It is nice to have you aboard.
I am sure we'll be the best of friends.
I do not know about that, but we shall see.
And so the king kind of goes, well, wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. Perhaps we'll break for a spot of lunch, and then we'll go meet the troops, eh? And that's where we'll leave it this week.
I will say, Andrew, I had to stop myself from calling you the Nutty Professor.
I'm loving these Yodas.
I
hope
it's
very good.
Just legitimately could not help myself. I was like, this is a great time to be a creepy old man. Excellent.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well,
those are brave words. For someone traveling with a fucking human handicap.
You'll have to show him.
20 inch versus 20 inch. Who will win? If you want to find out, pop onto our Discord and see who truly has the upper hand. And if you'd like to weigh in, go ahead and review the podcast, give us 5 stars, and tell us why Susuru Obernut is your favorite character since episode 0123. It's okay. I'm the only one who reads the reviews. She says, having never actually read a review. But I'm sure it'll be fine. And if that's just like not enough fun for you, you can always drop a coin on our coffee page. It's where we're making all our Umbernut merch. Umbernut hats, Umbernut volleyballs. We got a lot of Umbernut swag. We're up to our eyes in Umbernut. You know, I'm done talking, and I think you guys are done listening. It's a great day to be you. It's a great day to be me. Let's all go out there and have a wonderful evening.